Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon where I'll be talking about the movies, obviously the TV shows, I don't know, what have you. If it's related to Disney in any shape or form, then yes, of course, I'll be talking about it. So let's just get into the bizarre shit I'll be talking about at times. Alright, a lot of times. I'll be speaking about an organization I spoke about before, and it will be, yep, this one. This Florida Family Association, which basically is just like this Christian group of individuals trying to protect the family from harm, gotta protect the American values, which again, I must say, like I said multiple times before, America was never a Christian nation, despite what many individuals will say. But that's basically what their goal is, kind of protect the family from wickedness, like the evil spirits or whatever they may have be. And just trying to defend those whom are in harm. Or I'm trying to convert people into Christianity, of course, and all that jazz, obviously. And I want to mention this. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what RuPaul Drag Race is, of course. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you knew what that is. But this is somehow in relation to Star Wars because Star Wars is apparently going to base a character on RuPaul. Again, I don't know if this is actually true or not. Just FYI, I'm just going off what they said. I don't know if this is actually true. It's just something I came across, and apparently, this is allowing this to be in Star Wars Expanded Universe. Apparently, but somehow, just that was alone was somehow enough to make them mad. Like, are you really? You don't got nothing else to do. It's so moronic. It's weird. Like you have nothing else to do, right? Basically, this is one of those religious groups. They have, of course, have. I mean, this was not the only time they attacked Star Wars. This is going to be again referring to the game Star Wars: The Old Republic. At least one of them, anyway. So it's just one of the Star Wars: The Old Republic. I don't know which one they're talking about. It's just one of them. So again, to set the sides attacking the Star Wars game. This I'm feeling repeating myself because this I've spoken about this exact thing. Just like the what, maybe the fourth time I brought this up. I lost count. It's at least the fourth, maybe fifth time I brought this up. One of the two. In which this video game, according to them, allows players to have the characters, whatever character that is. They don't specify what character it is. By the way, just characters, like as a general thing, to join in a same-sex relationships, whatever that means. Like what? I mean, you realize Star Wars was not the only game that does that. You must have to bring up like video games like Dragon Age or the Mass Effect games. They did the same exact thing. I don't get it. The other game series that did the same thing is the Fable series, which honestly it's ass because they really did it badly. But anyway, the last time I spoke about this kind of thing was with the Family Research Console had gotten mad at this, of course, for the same reason. Bottom line is that the BioWare, the game's creators, pretty much had crossed over to the dark side, apparently, because having a same-sex marriage kind of is somehow the same thing as going to the join up with Darth Vader. Yeah, they believe having a character like RuPaul is the same as becoming Darth Vader, a Sith or whatever. I don't know how, but okay. And another thing, that's like a misconception anyway. You don't if you're a drag king, a drag queen, a crossdresser, a transvestite, or whatever else you want to use, when it comes to like gender bending clothing, that in itself doesn't mean you're gay. I mean, it could lead up to it could pretty much reveal the fact you might be gay, sure, but it's not limited to being gay. Straight people can do this, lesbians can do this, and of course, even bisexual people can do this if they choose to. Personally, I don't care. It's none of my business if they want to do that. It's up to you. Whatever. I honestly don't. I don't give a single shit if somebody wants to do that kind of thing. It's up to you. You do whatever you want. You know, it's your body. I honestly don't care. But anyway, going back to the American Decency Decency Association had accused BioWare of pandering to the homosexual extremists. So yeah, it's calling them homosexual extremists. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, they just going back to this kind of thing. Just but nothing but it's nothing but just these kinds of stuff. Like they trying to say basically what they're trying to get at is that Star Wars is supposed to be a family affair kind of a thing. And they claim that Star Wars has no profanity, no nudity, no sexual situation. Like, what? What Star Wars isn't did you see? There are Star Wars movies. There are Star Wars storylines that they does have sexual situations, even if it's not super explicit, or revealing a lot of skin. Must I point you to the film Return of the Jedi? Did you ever? Oh my God, this is so stupid. Don't you remember Princess Leia slave outfit? Well, you never. You're just gonna forget about that, okay? But anyway, to them, it doesn't make this doesn't make any sense, really. But anyway, going back to the family, yeah, the Florida Family Association, which I was saying was complaining about the Star Wars game, it's going to expose these small children to gay stormtroopers. So those troopers who are gay, I didn't know that. But okay, if you say so, the Family Association accused the Star Wars of pretty much applauding to the homosexual extremists, whatever that means. I don't get it. So apparently, this is a thing. Of course, I don't know why. I don't get what's going on exactly. I don't get what's the big deal is really because now they're wondering if this game will create a Darth-like Vader based upon RuPaul. Yeah, they actually, like we were saying a moment ago, they believe that they're going to make a game with a character is based upon RuPaul. So Darth RuPaul, and that's the actual name they give him, Darth RuPaul. Like really? I mean, they said they're trying to make fun of like a transgendered version of Darth Vader. So again, I know okay, that's being transphobic. They're trying to make fun of trans people. Is what I'm trying to get at. They're trying to make fun of trans people, and again, another misconception. A lot of people believe that if you're a cross dresser or drag king and all those things I just mentioned a moment ago, they believe that it's going to lead you being trans. Again, no, that's not the same thing. I mean, yes, when it comes to having sex change to the preferred appearance that you would want, yeah, of course, it's going to take a lot of money. I mean, there are some trans people who will just, oh yes, of course, having a sex change is that in itself is pretty expensive. Not only that, is you have to take multiple surgeries. A lot of people think it's just as simple as just getting like your toe fixed, or if you have surgery or something on your fingers or something. I don't know, but no, you can't just be a one time thing and just be done with it. When it comes to having sex change, you have to take multiple surgeries, obviously, and it's going to be extremely expensive. It's going to be more than rent. I'll put it that way. And not only that, I mean, yes, there are people who can't afford this kind of thing, obviously. What I'm saying here is that trans people, whether they're pre-op or post-op, is that these individuals just want to express their gender identity that may be inconsistent with their assigned sex. And of course, as a result, they will want to desire to permanently transition to the gender in which they would better identify as. Of course, typically, obviously, like I was saying a moment ago, seeking medical assistance, including sex reassignment surgeries, of course, such as hormone replacement therapy, and of course, the sex reassignment surgery to aid them in going along with their preferred body they would identify as, of course. This has been a subject matter for years, and even decades, I would say. I don't know why they seem to think that this is some brand new thing. But what does this have to do with trans people anyway? I have no idea. And you being gay does not equal the same thing to being trans. It's not the same as that. So they're thinking that this is bottom line going to be a trans Darth Vader. Like, what are you talking about? It's basically a trans Darth Vader that they're talking about. So I don't get that. How does that mean that anyway? There's literally no evidence to support this whatsoever. And yes, like I was saying a moment ago, your sexual orientation has nothing to do with this. Though a lot of people assume that it is, even though it doesn't. When it comes to this kind of a social status kind of a thing, there are, of course, a few terms that would be common in use. One of which being pre-op, of course, a pre-op transsexual individual, or you could say pre-optive transsexual. It could be some individual who intends to have the surgery at some point, or maybe they just started, or maybe barely started at some point. A post-op transsexual woman, or post-op preoperative, it could be someone who actually had the surgery and finished. And of course, those the non-surgical individual, which basically means somebody who never had the surgery because it could be, of course, maybe too expensive, of course. So yes, this someone like this could be an individual, someone who has not had the surgery, or maybe does not intend to have it in the future for whatever reason. This could be like a variety of different reasons, of course, for this kind of a thing. It could be a personal reason or maybe a financial reason. Because for some people, for some trans people, according to them, some of them anyway, maybe having this may not be required for whatever reason, I guess you can say. Maybe it could be, of course, how they feel. Maybe they can't really afford it. So dressing up as the preferred gender could be the best option for the time being, or whatever. This still doesn't classify as cross dressing, obviously. But what I'm trying to say here, what does any of this have to do with RuPaul? They're accusing RuPaul of being trans, but this is not the same thing as being trans. So they're claiming that there's going to be a death RuPaul character, and for the characters to be chosen here, because apparently the kids going to be choosing as their playable option over here. The group even provided some kind of image on how they drag King Superstore maybe look like in a video game, even though that's not an option really. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's to mock trans people, of course. Obviously, it's just apparently they're extremists. I don't know how, but okay, I don't get how that works. But anyway, so it just seems that they're committed to add the LGBT individual contact for the individuals and censor critics. What they're trying to get at is that if anybody criticizes this group of religious people or any religious individual, they think is censorship. It's the same thing as censorship or whatever. But that doesn't make any sense. If there's anybody that's trying to censor anyone, it's them. So they're trying to call the LGBT plus, especially the trans people, terrorists. They're just trying to pressure BioWare to make a Star Wars video game to commit this kind of thing. An overwhelming percentage of this is true. Apparently, I mean the Star Wars: The Old Republic video game series is very popular. It didn't make a lot of money, of course, but apparently only kids are buying these games. According to them, only the children are buying this game series, which doesn't make any sense because Star Wars can have violence. Star Wars can have swearing in it. Star Wars can be pretty gruesome. Not only that, Star Wars has some pretty intense situations within the storylines because it is very political. I find this really bizarre, but just outstanding that they're completely and utterly ignoring the fact that Star Wars was always political. It was always political from the very get go. And they were just completely ignoring it, acting as if that's not true, when in reality it is true. I mean, yes, of course, there were other people that were actually expressed that they would accept that Star Wars was always political, but I think criticize this company anyway because, oh, there should be more to the characters than politics. I mean, yes, that's true. You should be more to the characters than politics. But this is not a matter of opinion. This is a matter of human rights. It just depends on how the character's done. It depends how they're done in execution, is what I'm saying. So I don't get the what they're trying to say here when it comes to these characters. Like they're acting as if there's nothing more to these characters than that. It just depends on the writing. So they're wondering if the people who are responsible of these Star Wars video games would create Darth RuPaul. That sounds like a stupid name. You think about it. But anyway, they keep telling the players to basically send their email to Electronic Arts and Lucasfilms to basically stop them to do this. Anyway, just to basically write an angry letter. That's what they want them to do. Write such an angry letter to prevent this from happening. Don't have a trans stormtrooper. And by the way, the don't you realize that Darth Vader and his group of friends, okay, I won't call them friends, more like followers anyway. Don't you realize they're basically Hitler? Hitler himself hated trans people. Hitler himself hated the LGBT plus community. He actually had them executed along with the Jewish people or anybody else he didn't like. So what I also don't understand is that the religious people like the one I'm referring to is already painting the picture of these people as bad guys, as bad people, bad women. So wouldn't that go in line with what you're trying to say here? What? So these LGBT plus demands on Star Wars must be stopped somehow. So they have to send them an email. So in other words, if you include a trans character in the Star Wars game, they're claiming that if you include a Star Wars game that has a trans character, it somehow means that you don't care about family, you don't care about the kids, you don't care about your friends, you don't care about society, you don't care about none of that. You only care about your own political opinion, which of course is not true. That's not the case here, like at all. So what does that even mean anyway? But I don't get it. So they want to include a trans character. Okay, so what if they do? I just don't get any of this. Is what I'm trying to say. I don't get any of this. So what's the point here exactly? Yes, as though you have no sense of morality, like whatsoever, like at all. And anyway, but just demanding from these activists, the LGBT activists, are demanding that the makers of this Star Wars video game to add LGBT plus characters, especially for trans characters, especially have trans characters for kids to select as their action figure. Well, I mean, what action figures are you talking about? I don't know. So when it comes to playing the game itself, so of course send as many emails about this kind of thing, like email alerts with as much information as possible and the specific issue. These LGBT plus activists, I guess especially the trans actors and actresses and whatnot, so want children and young teens to be able to choose Star Wars action figures. Now we talking about toys all of a sudden? Okay. I don't get any of this, but the characters who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans, and so apparently this is bad news, of course. So according to them, children and teens who never thought anyway but heterosexual relationships are now given to choose to be trans, of course, bisexual, or lesbian, or gay in their characters. But they keep going back and forth action figures and video game action figure and video games action figure. Like, which one are you talking about? You're confusing me here. But they just go on and complain some more about how teens and children would be somehow influenced, but they would choose a non social agenda characters and being forced to deal with lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans characters, especially if they're trans, by other characters. So again, what agenda are you talking about? Where? What's the agenda? Where? So what? They don't have trans characters in the game or action figures. I don't know what you're referring to. The characters that you can select from in the game aren't action figures. I know they're technically trying to call them action figures within the game itself, but that's not the proper term. But it just goes to show you how uneducated these individuals are. And of course, obviously, they would just ask this question that should BioWare bow down to the demands of the trans activists by adding such characters to the Star Wars video games. And yes, I keep saying Star Wars video games, even though this talking about specifically that one game. So which is it? That one game that's specifying or the games themselves? I don't know. And of course, they're trying to make it funny, be like by mocking them. Oh, if you don't select it, then it's just discrimination. Like, what are you talking about? You condescending ass. Because they just go on to say they're trying to promote their agenda. Again, what agenda? I don't get it. But apparently, to choose characters in this video games, they certainly would not create the game rules to allow regular players to go into it. So, what do you mean breaking the rules? Like, what? And they were going to say that this kind of thing was not there before. It's all of a sudden it exists right there. I mean, what are you talking about? It was Star Wars always even Star Trek was always about diversity. That was always a thing. And so I don't understand this kind of a thing. Like they're trying to trying to have like what a gotcha moment, really, in some ways, which doesn't make any sense, like at all. Anyway, that'll be it. So I just thought I'd just bring this up because it's just ridiculous. But anyway, thanks for watching, folks. See you. This is so dumb.